Hi, everyone. I'm Kinley, President and CEO of Parks California, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. This is our first Facebook Live, so thanks for your patience as we get to know how to do this in the age of virtual. I'm so happy to share a little bit more about us at Parks California. At a year and a half old, we're the statutory nonprofit partner to California state parks. That means we work statewide across all 280 beautiful California state parks, which range from wilderness to urban settings. Today, we're focused on one of those urban settings in Los Angeles. And we work on issues that focus heavily on equity and access. Our ultimate goal, to ensure that our California state park system thrives and that these parks are welcoming to all of us. So join the conversation with us today. Make comments, ask us questions. We'll answer them as we can. If not now, then after we have this discussion. And let us know where you are. I know you're not all in California, so we'd love to know if you're coming in from another part of the US or even outside of the country. I have a lot of friends around the world. If you're awake, maybe you're watching and listening. I'm sitting here in San Francisco. It's a gorgeous day. I know my team is sitting in Davis and Sacramento, San Diego and San Luis Obispo. And we know we have friends today also from Los Angeles who are joining us to hear about a park that they know so well. So you'll see our guests when they come on camera will be wearing masks and distancing from themselves and from each other. We'll be chatting today with Stephanie and Luis from Los Angeles State Historic Park. I was last at this park in the beginning of March before everything seemed to change for us and what our realities are and where we can be right now. And it's an absolutely beautiful space. So if you haven't had a chance, when it's safe to do so, I encourage you to visit. So we'll have our team join us now to learn a little bit more about LA State Historic Park. And there they are. So joining us now from the park are Louise Rincon, Community Engagement Coordinator, waving to us from the back, masked and distant, as you see. Hi, Louise. Gorgeous day.
Hi.
Wish I was there. Wish I was there. And we have Stephanie Campbell, Acting Program Manager for Planning, Public Affairs, and Community Engagement. So again, Stephanie, great to see you. Wish I was there. Last time was now the beginning of all of these crazy moments that we're surviving through. But I have a question. Why don't you kick us off? LA State Historic Park is such an incredible grassroots activism and community engagement story. Can you tell us how this park came to be?
Yeah, so it's a really great story. So for most of the 20th century, the park you see behind me was an active freight rail yard, and in fact, Los Angeles State Historic Park partially has the historic designation based on the fact that this site was the first. It's called the LA River Station, and it was actually the first place that rail passengers coming from the East Coast and the Midwest would arrive and experience Los Angeles. And for that reason, a lot of times it's called the Ellis Island of Los Angeles. But as I said, it was a rail yard for most of the 20th century. And in the late 1980s, it was decommissioned. And this rail yard lay fallow for almost a decade. And it was kind of an eyesore. It was like strewn with weeds and nothing was happening here. And anyway, eventually a developer saw the property and thought, oh, this is a great place to put warehouses. So the plan came out to put 1 million square feet of warehouses on this site. But a small group of community activists got together and started thinking about what other uses would benefit the community. And the group was called the small group got together and they decided that this would be a great place for a park. Like the community, more so than warehouses, needed open space and a place for the kids to run and play. And so that small group of activists blossomed into this coalition of community groups, over 35 different community organizations called the Chinatown Yard Alliance. And they actually mounted a legal challenge and stopped the development. And at that point, the state stepped in and purchased the land to preserve as open space. So it's a really incredible story, and we continue to be very proud of that. And the most recent history of this park is some of the most important history.
And when was the park actually opened up?
2017, we had our grand opening.
That's great. Wonderful. It's so wonderful to know that history. I fell in love with this park just about a month after I started with Parks California a year and a half ago. So one of my first park visits outside of my own Bay Area experiences. And, I come back as often as I can.
I know.
Wonderful. Thank you. Luis, let me ask you a question. What's the value of community partnership when developing a park? And can you talk a little bit how the community that Stephanie started to mention played a really key role here? And also, what does the term promotorics mean, and what role did the promotorics play when it comes to Los Angeles State Historic Park?
Hi, good morning, Kinley. Luis here. The value of building it with in partnership is that we can't really do it alone, and so here we get to model it where the concept of the idea was from the community. So it's really a beautiful idea. Is building. We get to build a park with the community. As far as before the opening of the park in 2016, I got to work on the community liaison pilot project, and that involved recruited um, some community volunteers, and it was assigned. Their name was a promotora, basing it. And they went through a week-long training with the community health worker model. We were trying to align the park with community health, and we're under the premise that who knows the community better than the people that live there, and so we it really kind of we really kind of built the park together. A lot of the plants, a lot of the landscaping that you see here is with community members, and that was the idea, that we were going to build it with them, like we were going to do it together alongside. And it really makes a real special feel that's very compelling when we go and present to other park officials and to other like conferences we've got to present. And one awesome thing is that people see maybe a non-traditional park user come in and really be part of the conversation. And so that to us is something that we hold dear. The idea of this being a park and what the community wanted and the benefit is we want to continue that legacy, and we want to create opportunities for the next park stewards. And so we want to build with the community, and have them influence our programming, and let the parks be built with the people of this community.
That's amazing. I think, the community engagement piece this park was built um, is what makes it so special. And it is the community that uses this park without a doubt when I've been there. And I think, too, it's so wonderful at Parks California. Our goal is to harness innovation like this that's happening widely across the state park system. So, what can we learn from you in this urban setting? And how do we apply it? How do we localize and contextualize it and take it to other places, other parks, um, to strengthen that community piece, to help people feel like the parks belong to them. So thank you. That's wonderful. Such
Yeah,
great,
no,
great
it's a
work.
pleasure. It's a
Yeah,
pleasure. Yeah,
that's
let's.
great. Great. Thanks. Stephanie, what's next for LA State Historic Park? Or maybe more broadly, what's next for what's happening down Los Angeles in this part in the park system?
Yeah, I mean, LA State Historic Park, as I said, we had our grand opening in 2017, and we're 3 years old now, and we're just continuing to develop programming and work with the community here. But the big question is what's happening at the bow tie. The bow tie is actually part of Rio de Los Angeles State Park, which is our sister park a couple miles away on San Fernando Road. And the bow tie is 18 acres of undeveloped land along the Los Angeles River, actually adjacent to the soft bottom portion of the Los Angeles River, which is really beautiful if people have never been there before. And so we're working right now, we're launching into conceptual design for the bow tie. So the bow tie is going to become the next great urban state park in Los Angeles. And we're really excited to be partnering with the city of Los Angeles, who owns the property adjacent to the bow tie. It's called G2. And also MRCA, which is the Mountains and Recreation Conservation Authority, a local park agency that also has an easement on part of the G2 property as well. So there are essentially three property owners. We're all working together to coordinate the design and planning of these three pieces of property. and visioning this whole space as sort of 100 acres of continuous parkland. So we want to integrate all of the designs and make everything work really well together. And like LASHP, the G2 and the bow tie are both former rail yards. So this is another sort of brownfield transformation in progress. And we're really looking forward to starting the design process and more importantly, our community engagement process, working with the community, hopefully, having a citizens advisory committee similar to the Cornfield Advisory.
We may have just lost Stephanie.
Acres, the 42 acres at G2, and 40 acres at Rio de Los Angeles.
Great, thank you, Stephanie. And I have had a chance to see Bowtie, and the LA River is really special. I mean, it's an incredible. Oh, can't hear me? All right. Well, I hope the feed is still working. This is the fun part.
We can't hear you, Kinley.
I'm sorry,
okay.
It might be technical difficulty.
Okay, I'm waving. So I was going to ask the two of them, if they end up hearing me in the next few minutes, what their favorite state parks are. So I'm going to go and just wrap us up, but I want to say a big thanks to Stephanie and Luis for joining us today. Thanks so much for sharing this incredible story, the incredible innovation that's happened across the community, and the creation of this park filled with trees and grass and beautiful views of downtown Los Angeles. To learn more about LA State Historic Park and Parks California, you can go to the website addresses that you'll see on your screen. I want to thank you again for attending our first Facebook Live. Go and visit this park. Go and visit your local parks. Get out there. See what's happening. But if you're going, I encourage you before you do to go on to parks.ca.gov, flatten the curve. It will give you some great information about how to recreate responsibly, especially in the midst of the pandemic. I hope that open spaces are keeping you all happy and healthy in spite of all that we're going through. And I'm really grateful. Thanks again for joining us. Can't wait to see you all again next time on July 29th, when we'll be coming at you from another beautiful park. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.